Thank you, Commissioner Warren. It's great to be back in Lucas Oil Stadium. I look forward to hearing that fight song one of these times we're in here. That would be sure nice. But it's great to be back and, honored to be the head football coach at Northwestern. So I'd like to, first of all, say thank you to our great media partners and everyone that's here today supporting Big Ten football. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I believe it's the best football conference in America. And to be here now, going into my 16th season, seems somewhat surreal, and it's because of a lot of you covering us and exposing our brand that makes the game special. And we look forward to sharing it again with you in our venues as we anticipate having full stadiums in Big Ten country this fall. And a second excitement level about that would be for our fans. There's something different last year. We obviously were able to find a way to have success, but not having our great fans in the building is something that I know that all of our student athletes, our staff, and myself, we're looking forward to say the least. To our frontline healthcare workers and those that have provided our health and safety, I want to say thank you, especially to our medical team up in Evanston. They did an amazing job last year. Jeff Mianis, our head team physician, and Kevin Kikagawa and his staff, our head athletic trainer, to go through the entire season without one COVID positive. I think the education that our medical team gave our players, but the execution of the plan and being incredibly unselfish and really, truly sacrificing, arguably, as much as anybody did in the country, is a credit to our players. And just really thankful for the job that they did a year ago. It was great, again, to be back in Lucas Oil to represent the Big Ten West. And, that's obviously our challenge and our goal again this year. Is to build a team in the finishing touches during fall camp and put ourselves in position to get ready to play a Big Ten opener against Michigan State. So it's going to be on us here pretty quickly, but our guys have had a terrific summer, and I know they're excited to get into camp and get things rolling. And it's exciting times in Evanston, to be 2 out of the last 3 years, be the Big Ten West champs, to have 2 first-round draft picks last year that we're incredibly proud of, and 3 guys drafted. All 11 of our young men that worked out at Pro Day had an opportunity to get into a pro camp, and I know those guys are all reporting right now, and we wish them the best. And then to couple that with having the highest graduation rate in the country again, I think truly shows that our model, what we do and how we do things about being the best player development staff in the country is actually turning around the benefits on the field, but more importantly, preparing our guys for life that we're incredibly proud of. So exciting times ahead. I know you've got great questions for me, so I'll open it up now. Thanks. Go Cats.
Great, Coach. We'll take some questions now. It looks like we have one on the far left. Please keep your hand up, and then we'll go back to the right on the aisles.
Paul M. Banks, thesportsbank.net. Good morning, Coach. I know better than to ask who your starting quarterback is going to be until, I'm sure we won't find out until the opener, but what does Ryan Helinski bring to the table that makes him, a strong candidate to win the QB1 job?
Yeah, hey, Paul. Good afternoon, bud. It's good to see you. As I look at our quarterback situation, I think we've got really good depth, and I think we've got really good talent. Andrew and Ryan and Hunter, all 3 have game experience. Hunter in the SEC, or Hunter with us, Andrew with us, and then Ryan in the SEC. So, all 3 of those guys are going to compete here as we start camp. We'll make a decision, finalize that decision sometime during camp. But all 3 guys had, I thought, solid spring practices, and we've got younger guys behind them too. So I think we've got really good depth there at the quarterback position.
Immediately to your right.
Dustin Schutte, Saturday Tradition. It's tough to replace a guy like Mike Hankwitz as defensive coordinator. What do you like from Jim O'Neill? What has he brought to your program, and what are you experiencing so far?
Well, so far, great familiarity. I mean, Jim was a GA for us, and, so we've known each other for a long time. You don't replace Mike Hankwitz. And, as you look at 400 wins, 51 seasons, Hank was a true coach's coach, a great mentor, a great teacher to all of us as a staff, and amazing with our players. But more importantly, behind him was Kathy and Jake. So I don't want to minimize the impact that they had with Hank. And a lot of us in the coaching profession are ecstatic for him with the run and the career he had. And we'll miss him in coaching, but we're happy for him in retirement. But Jim brings an energy level. He's committed to making this our defense. I believe I've got the best group of assistant coaches on defense in the country with Marty Long up front, Tim McGargle at the linebacker position, and Matt McPherson in the DBs. So it's going to be a collaborative effort, and that obviously started in the offseason, but it'll continue on through training camp.
Coach, we're going to move over to the right for a couple questions.
Hey, Coach. Drew Shaw from the Daily Northwestern. When Rashawn and Greg got drafted, you spoke a lot about how at Northwestern you can have it all with academics and success in the Big Ten. And based on those statements, I just want to ask you, how do you feel about NIL and kind of how does that impact into you can have it all at Northwestern?
I think the NIL opportunity for all student athletes is outstanding. I'm not going to lie to you, Drew. I'm a little jealous. I mean, think about the mid-'90s, the dough I would have made. I mean, come on. I mean, Autry. I mean, Schnurr lives here in Indy. You know, he probably got a free cup of coffee. But, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for growth and improvement in college football in the NCAA, and I think NIL is the first step. I love listening to all the coaches in the SEC and the guys before me. We've got the best opportunity of NIL in Evanston. In Chicago, I mean, we were all trying to figure this thing out. So we need to get off thinking we've all got the best and work hard to educate our young men, educate their families, and then eventually put things in place to educate from the NCAA and the Big Ten level, prospective student athletes and their families. You know, this is a great opportunity if used the right way, but it's a job. And you have to have the right resources around the student athletes to support them and support their families. So I think we're going to all learn a lot, through these next 12 to 24 months. But it's a positive first step. I'm just a little jealous.
Coach, we'll stay on the right in the middle, and then we'll move back to Chris Solar.
What's up, Coach? Michael Fitzpatrick with Wildcat Report. Good to see you. Last year's team was a very veteran team for the most part. Obviously, some young guys stepped up, Bijo, who's here, but this year's team a lot younger. So does your preparation for the season change when you have guys like Patty Fisher who have played like 50 games versus guys who haven't started ever before? Does your preparation change in the offseason at all?
Yeah, Fitz, I think your preparation always changes based on your personnel, and it also changes on your coaching staff. So, there were tweaks and changes, nothing earth-shattering for me to announce today, but, I knew the focus a little bit today would be on what we've lost. I couldn't be more excited about what we have. And you look at the way we've recruited, you look at where our recruiting is at right now, it's at an all-time high during my tenure. I'm really thankful for Johnny Kovac and our entire recruiting staff. I mean, Todd McShane and Brian Payton, the whole group. I mean, it's a relentless group. I'm missing a bunch. Michael Conway, I mean, that are just relentless in the behind the scenes, along with our coaching staff and recruiting. But also, more importantly, getting on campus in June and getting around our players, I think, is why we've had such great success. And that hurt us a little bit in COVID, but I think we've come out of it strong. But we've got an exciting locker room. I think we've got as much depth and talent, maybe in my time, but we'll see how it plays out as we go through camp. We're going to find out right away with the challenging opener on Friday night against Michigan State at home. So we've got a lot of work to do in these next 6 weeks getting ready for that game.
We'll go to Chris.
Hi, Pat. Chris Solari from the Detroit Free Press. With that opener coming up September 3rd, and you mentioned about 6 weeks, the limiting of the NCAA rules of contact practices and fully padded practices this year, how does that make a challenge for a coach, especially a defensive coach, to get guys at game speed tackling early in the season? And how do you plan on maybe minimizing or maximizing what you can do in that short period of time?
There won't be a ton of changes to my routine. We morphed it a little bit from a standpoint of how we practiced about 5 years ago. And it was all based on a long study that I did with our sports scientists, our athletic trainers, and our strength staff to really put together a training camp to build our guys up getting prepared for the opener. I think it's really hard just in general to teach tackling right now and where the rules are. So we worked that fundamental and technique footwork-wise and fundamentally from the minute we start our off-season workouts. You may not be taking someone to the ground, but we're talking, teaching, and working tackling every single day. The physical component to it, it might be limited a little bit this year in camp. So you got to be a little bit more creative in the way you do your drill work, a little bit more creative in the way you structure your practices. But for us locally at Northwestern, it won't be that big of a change.
Okay, we'll go down front here with Emily. No. Yes, please. Thank you.
Hi, Coach. You said you were jealous of these opportunities. Is there anyone in particular that you found interesting or a great partnership, or that you might be particularly jealous of that the players have come to terms with?
Are you talking about name, image, and likeness?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just told the guys in our team meeting when we had it, I just said, listen, you got to understand this is a job and use it the right way and use all the resources we have around you, including your family, to make sure that you lock into smart deals, great deals, and you also understand the big picture here. A lot of you guys are going to be NFL players. Let's not put your market level down here. So be really patient, work through it the right way. And again, I think as we sit here at this time next year, I think we're all going to have a really good idea where this is at. I just think it's comical listening to all of us head coaches talk about how great our fan bases and our Twitter handles are for NLI for our players. It has nothing to do with it. But it's been humorous to watch.
We have time for one more. If not, Coach, I'm sorry, right here in the front.
Coach Lee Harrington, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
All right. You have studs in your back four of your defense like A.J. Hampton, Brandon Joseph, Coco Azema. How confident are you that Northwestern were both one of the best secondaries in the Big Ten this fall?
Yeah, I've got great confidence in our back end. That group is deep. You mentioned a handful of guys. There's more. That I believe Matt McPherson, our recruiting staff, have done a really, really solid job recruiting in that area. But that culture and brotherhood is owned by our DBs. They call themselves a Sky Team, and that goes back a number of years. And that legacy of success in that group has been spectacular. To have Greg Newsome be the 26th pick overall and I think shows where we're going. But really excited about that group. There's no doubt it's deep, it's talented, and should be a lot of fun.
Thank you, Coach. Have a great season.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks, everybody. Go Cats.